Is that,
Yeah.
you gotta do that thing.
Yeah, we have to do that. Turkey first. Turkey first.
I got a text from Megan. She's not going to be at the meeting today.
Oh.
My floodlight in my garage is the place at my neighbor's driveway.
Only purposely. Yeah.
Somebody has to be up there to move.
Well, keep in mind, these are just, we'll take notes on, I'm just thinking it might be something we need, and then we can adjust the language.
Oh, I need to take the spotlight.
Yeah. We've had a couple incidents where like people are shining it in their neighbors' windows, and it's just uncalled for.
Yeah.
So I think it's time to put an ordinance out
Oh,
there.
we can't bring out the binoculars.
Binoculars are fine. Don't use a floodlight.
Shine it in your neighbor's bedroom.
Hey. How's it going? What do you mean?
Oh, but the city can do it.
Oh, okay, good. All right,
Merry
put this
Christmas,
on Jesse's
Mike.
desk. Thank you. Yeah, what happened with that smell of gas? Was it turned out to be okay?
Smell gas.
Yeah.
Or
I think it's all a little different than that.
All right, I have 6 o'clock, so call the meeting order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank everybody for coming tonight. Go ahead and do roll call. Deb? Here. Michelle? Here. Larry?
Yeah, here.
Megan? Sarah? Here. Motion to approve the agenda as presented or amended?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the agenda as presented. We'll go to vote. Deb?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
All right, on to the consent agenda.
Need a motion to approve. I'll second.
Motion and second to approve the consent agenda. Any other questions? Now we'll go to vote. Michelle?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
All right, updates and presentations with city administrator.
Sure, just a couple of quick updates. We had the Veterans Day Parade the other day. Good job with the chamber organizing that. It was a nice reintroduction of the parade to the community. Nice day for it. Lots of veterans came. Hope to get bigger crowds in next year's, but they are committed to doing it again next year. So I think a little bit more promotion next year, will help to bring the crowds back. Next, the holiday lights that we ordered are getting delivered. Eric, when did you say? Friday? Tomorrow. So those will be nice. They're going to look really nice for the holiday season. And then, we've been working on some solar ordinance stuff. We got approved for a $10,000 grant to help us build the technology to keep track of the solar metering. So that'll be nice. We don't have to necessarily build it ourselves. We can outsource it to a company and we'll get compensated for doing that. So I'm really excited about that because it'll be really nice to be able to track how much solar those panels produce and make sure that we're getting all the accounting right. So that's it as far as updates outside of what's going to be presented next. And then also I'm solo today. It's Jesse's son's birthday, so happy birthday, Court. Very exciting. So, okay, that's it on the updates.
All right, any questions? Now we'll go to new business, number 8, motion to discuss city ordinance updates and adoption procedures.
Make motion to discuss.
One second.
Motion and second to discuss.
Great. So this is the project that we've been working on. We were originally going to have a public hearing tonight, but the company that's doing the layout for the ordinance book, which is incredibly complicated, she was out of town all last week, and so it was impossible to get it updated. But I thought what that would do is give us the opportunity to sort of present some of the changes that I'm proposing in this format, and then I'll put the actual ordinance language based on the feedback that I get on topics tonight. So some of these are pretty straightforward. Other ones I need some really good direction because I'm not sure if it's the direction that the City Council wants to move in. So the first one, and if you don't mind, we'll just go through these one by one, and then I'll give kind of a quick update. Happy to answer any questions. The first one is under Human Resources. The proposal is to update the organizational structure so that all departments in our city code lead up to the city administrator. What the code currently says is that the administrator is responsible for the coordination and direction of all city services across departments, but the code doesn't state that, and there's a little confusion about who manages employees in different departments. Like it's very clear with police and city public works and stuff like that, and City Hall. There's a little confusion over the library, and so I just want to clean up the language to let everybody know that while the City Council approves department heads and appointees and stuff like that, once somebody is a city employee, the discipline and firing has to fall under the city administrator, otherwise we'll have chaos. Basically, the recommendation is to just clean up some language under Article 14, basically saying all city employees, regardless of department, board, commission, fall under the supervision of the administrator, and then boards and commissions provide policy guidance, but not direct supervisory support. One example, the library director is a city employee reporting to the city administrator, but the board is responsible for all the policy for the library.
How is that going to be worded in such a way so that a board, whether it's a library board or something else, that they have their say, and then the administration
Yes.
So how will that work?
This won't usurp any library board authority that it has under state law. Like the library runs as an independent entity, but no library employee or the director can violate the city code book, the city handbook for employees. They are technically city employees drawing the city salary, drawing city hourly wages, and so the discipline and management of issues that fall under human resources has to be able to be mitigated by the city administrator. They can't have a separate set of employment rules. So while the library board affects policy for the library in terms of how the library is run, hours, the collections, policies and procedures, so on and so forth, it would be the city administrator's job to make sure that the director and all of the employees are following the uniform, handbook for employees in the city, so that there's not two sets of rules. So
hiring of employees, how does that work then?
So the library director would still, be responsible for hiring and firing, the regular,
And deciding if they need more employees and...
Well, that's usually a budgetary issue, and you guys approve their annual budget. So during the budget season, if the library director were to want to add staff, the library director would come to me and say, hey, in the next budget year, we want to add somebody. We would look at how much that would cost and then put that in the proposed budget and let you know that there's an increased headcount proposal. And then the city council decides if that's appropriate or not. So it won't necessarily affect headcount. It's more of a HR tool than it is a headcount management tool. Like, we need to be able to hold people accountable and have people not believe that they're that the rules don't apply to them.
Mm-hmm.
So
The boards of the library would still have some say in what is happening in the library itself.
100%,
For instance, to
yeah.
add a new, say, a member of the board resigns, to select a new member of the board would be the library board.
correct.
But it still comes before council
Yes,
anyways,
but
yeah.
all of their board appointees or nominees come to the city council for approval.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and yeah, so like a collection, their hours of operation, all of, like, the city wants nothing to do with that. This is strictly HR and making sure that the employees all report up to a central person so that everybody can follow the same set of rules.
Okay, thank you.
Sure. Any other questions on this one? Okay. All right, next one is animal registration. So as you know, we have an animal registration, and as you probably have figured, hardly anybody uses it. Mainly because there isn't really a penalty for not having animals. So we would like to impose a fine for people who are not registering their animals. This would be, dogs and cats, and then the big question mark is, do we want to also have a registration for properties that have chickens? I don't really have an opinion on it because I just don't have an opinion on it, but so I'll kind of leave it up to you guys. And then we want to make the fine, which you'll see later in this document. There's a list of fines, but we want to make it very inexpensive and affordable for people to register their pets. We've actually already started building the database where people would be able to do it with their phone. They'd be able to upload pictures of the pet, emergency contact, all sorts of information that would be readily available to the police or any city worker that, happens to find a dog or a cat or maybe a chicken. Although the chickens don't have tags. What was that?
How are you going to register chickens?
Not particular chickens, but register a property to have chickens, because there is a maximum amount that they can have.
What all pets might be included?
We could do all pets. We could certainly do that, but we're getting into hamsters and birds and stuff like that. So to me, I think it should be.
Identify the specific pets.
I think it should be pets that kind of go outside regularly. I think if it's an inside pet, it's probably not a.
And I think the original intention was for the pets that get loose, there's some way to track
Yes.
hopefully where they belong.
Yeah, exactly. And so we think by building this database and having them be able to put pictures of the pet in there, it'll help us to rapidly identify where it belongs. And we had some chaos. There was one, untagged dog a couple of weeks ago, and somebody called in, and it ended up being like the next door neighbor's dog. So, like without this tool, it's really gonna, be a little bit of chaos, and then it eats up a lot of time with staff trying to figure that stuff out. So basically, we want to beef up the animal registration and impose a fine if we, find an animal that's not registered. Any objections to that?
So then, discussion on chickens?
Yeah, discussion, I need feedback on, so with chickens, what I envisioned is we would say, you register a property, okay, here's my address, I want to have chickens, I'm going to have between 5 and 8, like so on and so forth.
The
cap?
5 and 6, yeah, I'm not sure what the cap is off the top of my head, but.
Because I mean, there's people that have more than.
That's another reason why I was thinking chickens, so that, if we know that there's a cap and we see 20 chickens in somebody's backyard, we can take 14 of them and, cook them.
Well, it's supposed to be no roosters, right?
No roosters,
Yeah.
definitely no roosters, yeah.
So where's the crowing coming from?
The what?
Has anybody figured out where the rooster is?
Yeah, there is a rooster running around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You do?
I have an idea.
Yeah, his name's Brandon Taylor.
Yeah, exactly.
And you're dropping him off on our end of town and running back to the north.
If anybody's interested in chicks.
Yeah, so just a property owner, if they're gonna have chickens.
Yeah, just exactly, just what
register
property,
that they're-
yeah.
Which makes total sense.
Mhm.
I think so, and then they could take a picture of their flock, we could try to identify the rooster chicken. That'll be kind of.
Well, as the door opens in the morning, they come out.
Yeah.
Well, and it's more like the town fox getting them.
Yeah.
Yes.
Than it is
Yeah.
anything else.
That
I mean,
too.
'cause that's what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, the coyotes in
The
town
coyotes
now,
do, yeah.
because he was in my backyard last night.
Yeah.
I don't hear them.
So, and then, like all the particulars about the ordinance language, I'll draft all of that. I just wanted to do a summary so you didn't have to read through a lot of
Yeah.
minutia.
Yeah, thank you.
Which I love writing, but just, it's easier
Yeah.
to, yeah.
We'd rather have you do it, thank you.
Yeah, okay, so is there a consensus on
I
chicken
think that's a
property?
good idea.
Okay. All right, chicken property is. All right, next, nuisance yards,
So they'll, the same fine if they don't register their chickens then?
yes, yeah. Yeah, we'll show up, where are your papers? Where are your chicken papers? Okay, next is nuisance yards. So we built a database that works really, really well for tracking nuisance yards, and we have, I think there's 38 properties in there right now that are about to get, a letter once we pass an ordinance. Right now, the ordinance doesn't really give us a lot of latitude in terms of fines and stuff like that, so we're proposing very strict fines for nuisance yards that don't comply, and so the idea here is that they get a letter, they get a very reasonable amount of time to comply with the city ordinance. If they don't comply, then we can issue a municipal infraction. There'll be an appeal process, they'll be able to, bring photos, we'll have, an appeals board, but in the end, it's everybody that we go to and say, hey, clean up your yard, just kind of, a couple people do and most don't. So this would give us the teeth to be able to put some money behind it. And then the real teeth comes at, if it's a very serious issue, we could actually impose a fine that would get tacked onto their property tax, which nobody wants. And we don't want to do that. We want to give people a reasonable ability to fix up their yards and stuff like that. But at the same time, there's some properties that are going on 5-6 years, just thumbing their nose at the city and not doing anything.
So what's the definition of nuisance?
It's in the city code now, so this would be like property, let's say they have like a junked car or something on it, there's very specific criteria, like the car has to have like broken windows or an opening, so if there's like a rodent habitat or a wild animal habitat, if there's junk over the yard that could create a habitat for wild animals, stuff like that. The actual wording in the ordinance that exists is really good.
So that won't change?
That won't change.
Okay.
What will change is our ability to walk up to a property, put it in our database, have that database issue a letter, and have that letter articulate, like, this is what's going to happen if you don't comply.
So how do, owner versus renter?
It's the owner.
It's the owner's responsibility.
Right, so
Yeah.
so regardless, it will always be the owner,
Oh.
this will apply to the owner?
Always, yeah, yep. And again, like, nothing will change about the details of the yard, and the criteria are very reasonable. Like, we're not looking for manicured lawns and, perfect yards, but, there are some yards that are just active junk yards and habitats for, wildlife, and that's what we're trying to really get our control over. All right, so any feedback or any objections to that? Okay. All right, next one, this probably requires a little bit of debate because it's This is a big deal. So right now, like say, let's use hypotheticals. I know there used to be like 3 hotels in town. We don't have a local business licensing procedure, and what that means is that we have no way of enforcing how a business operates. So for example, if there's a hotel in town and we have a local licensing protocol, we can mandate that it operate as a hotel. We can put limits on the number of nights that a single person could get rented to. It could restrict a hotel from being used as an apartment building, which is not in its core mission and not what it's zoned for. But as it is right now, we couldn't really stop that from happening unless we create a local business licensing platform. And the idea here is to make it really inexpensive, $10 or $20 for a business license, but it gives us the opportunity to send in inspectors when something doesn't look safe or doesn't look right. It gives us the latitude to be able to impose rules on fixing problems before somebody gets hurt, and then also to be able to temporarily or permanently take the license back for non-compliance with our requests. And again, this isn't to be unreasonable. This is just to give us the latitude of making those hard decisions and taking some of them out of the political sphere, because let's face it, it's a small town, everybody knows each other. This would give us the ability to enforce the law in an equal and very pragmatic manner. And I think it's a good idea, but this is a large step for a small city, so it's worth considering. I feel pretty strongly about it, but I also know, putting this to work, we will have increased hours with our public works guys. The fire chief over here is going to have to go in and do some more inspections from time to time. This really sort of centralizes the enforcement to the city, which I would prefer, but open for discussion and debate.
I think it's a very good step that we know that properties in town that are open for business, one would be safe. And there's multiple levels of safety.
Yeah.
Be it an annual fire inspection or whatever it might be.
Yeah, and if there's consensus for this, then I would bring up the full ordinance proposal, and we could work through all of those details. The other thing it would let us do is have a business directory. We don't have a business directory. I'm not even sure I know every business that operates in town, because we do have some businesses out of the house. We've got a bakery that operates out of a house. There's other stuff going on. This would allow a centralized database with all of the current business licenses. Those would be available to the public, and from that database we would actually be able to create a business directory for town, something that we've tried to do with previous websites, and it just kind of falls to the wayside because there's not a centralized place to keep all the data. So this could also help solve that. So.
Have you talked to any business owners?
Casually. Nobody's excited about having another form to fill out, but at the price point, I haven't gotten any restrictions, and I'm going to talk to the chamber.
I don't think it's ever going to be about the money.
Yeah.
It's going to be about the control.
Yeah.
The price point is mute.
It's not an issue.
That's not even
I think it's going to depend on if there's consensus here. As I start to build the ordinance, I would definitely meet with different business owners and get their input on the details. I don't want to waste too much time. If this was a non-starter, I didn't want to put 5 hours of work into talking through variables if it wasn't going to get support at the council table. So tonight, consensus doesn't pass the ordinance. It just gives me direction to spend more time on it and put something together. And I would definitely talk to the chamber and at least 5 or 6 different businesses in town.
And we need to make sure that they're insured.
That's another...
even going to craft fairs and that, most of them up here don't even ask for insurance, but when I was back in central Iowa, I don't care if I was in Marshalltown, Carroll, or Des Moines, They wanted to know what your insurance was
Yeah, yeah,
and who insured you and, what it was for.
yeah. So again, if there's consensus tonight, I'll start to invest some time in it and make a list of variables, meet with the businesses, come back to the city council with, a list of all the variables, feedback from business owners, and see if we can put something together. This is not meant to be an exorbitant, this is a simple,
Right.
Yeah.
one half of a piece of paper form, or do it
Yeah.
digitally.
Do any other towns our size do something
Yes, and in
like
fact, more and more.
comparable to like who?
I would have to get you a list. In my notes, I have lists of other municipalities that are doing this, and more
Because
and
I'd want to
more.
see that before I would say yes or no,
Yeah, again, tonight is only, should I spend the time working on it or not? So I would definitely put a list of municipalities. I read one article, like more and more small municipalities are doing this because, when we needed an inspection across the street over here, it took months to get a state inspector here, and those timelines are getting longer, not shorter. And so, again, this would just give us a little bit more latitude. So I would, in the ordinance proposal, I would have other small municipalities doing it, cost basis, I would do a comparison with at least 2 or 3 other communities.
And there's other things. We issue liquor license and that to some of these businesses. But if they're not up to snuff,
Yeah.
are we held liable because we've gone ahead and given them a license and?
Yeah, well, it's
You know?
a gray area, like
Yeah.
if we know as customers and city council members and an administrator, if I go into a place and I see something that is grossly unsafe, like an outdoor heater being used to heat the first floor of a restaurant, I have a fiduciary duty to stop that, and, I need the latitude to be able to do it, that day,
Right.
and not wait for a state inspector to come a month later and say, yeah, you should do that,
Right.
So, again, this isn't meant to be, overarching, and, we're not gonna send inspectors in once a month, but when we see issues, this will allow us to take care of them locally. That's the other thing too, is some of these issues we wanna take care of locally and, give people the ability to right their wrongs. Cause
Instead of escalating it.
if the state comes in and sees something and they pull a restaurant or a liquor license, that could be it for them, so anyway. So,
I think it's worthwhile for, getting smart.
so just, I'll start to investigate it and spend some time.
Well,
with
we
it.
can work together with the businesses then.
Absolutely.
They don't feel like they're being picked on.
Yeah, absolutely, and we want that, like, we want them to be safe, and then the other thing is, it also protects businesses that make a capital investment in town, protects them from other businesses that compete and do things unsafely, so,
Right.
yeah, so I think it benefits the
It's a
business
win-win,
community.
I think.
Yeah, okay. Next, dangerous buildings. As I was reading through the code, I was surprised to find out that the mayor is the enforcement officer for dangerous buildings. So I thought, instead of sending Hannah around to do inspections, that we update that to reflect either the city administrator or my designee. So if it's a building issue, I'd obviously send somebody that's qualified to look at the building. If it's electric, plumbing, I'm going to designate different people in the city. Also, this gives me the latitude to get an outside inspection. So let's say that there is a situation where everybody knows the owner of X, Y, and Z, but there's a really dangerous thing going on. This gives me the latitude to say I'm going to get an outside inspector to come in and give us an absolutely arm's length sort of deal. And so that's that. It really doesn't change all too much, except taking that responsibility from you, Mayor. And giving us to somebody else. And then as this ties into the business licensing, if we do the local licensing ordinance, this ties in and would give the city the ability to temporarily revoke a business license. And also to be able to post unsafe, do not enter, give us the ability to close down the building pretty quickly. Any feedback or objections to that?
Hannah seems pretty disappointed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have somebody that's in the know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How much do you know about buildings except if the door opens?
Yeah.
All right. The next one is lead water line replacement. So, as you all know, lead lines are dangerous, and at some point the governments, multiple governments, meaning state and federal, are going to mandate that all these lead lines get replaced. If we do nothing about getting these lines replaced, it's ultimately going to fall on the city to be paying for all of that. We don't know when that time is. It could be 5 years, it could be 20 years, we don't know. What we do know is if it falls on the city, it is a multi-million-dollar project, and it's unfair to the people who paid to have their lines replaced, and now everybody else's line gets replaced, with taxpayer dollars. So other communities are adopting a concept of forcing the lead lines to get replaced at the time of sale of a property. It's unpopular because it definitely adds some time in selling the property. It also technically, probably reduces the value of a property by a few $1,000s. If that's something that needs to be done, that's going to fall into the price. So this really requires some feedback and some debate, because I think we should do it, but at the same time, I understand this is a real monkey wrench when people want to go and sell a house, and but it's coming. This cost is going to be a cost that the city can't afford when that time comes. So all the details are in here. Again, this is just the recommendation and a summary. An ordinance would require a lot more research, and I didn't want to put too much more time into this until I got feedback, because this is the one that I thought is 50-50, on whether you guys approve it or not.
I would think nobody would want to be drinking water out of a lead water line. And I don't see how that
That
would
ordinance was recommended by the DNR when we did our water inspection to adopt something like that.
Yeah, that's why we took pictures of our water line coming in, so you could have it on.
How many mains we have that are lead?
I'd have to look at the spreadsheet, but there's
Not mains.
not mains, but this is for the individual houses of the mains. Yeah,
That go into them.
yeah. So I think we had over 500.
Unknowns, we had like 500.
Yeah, and
Oh,
most of the
really?
unknowns are going to be.
Oh, my.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you figure each one of those is, let's say, $4,000, and we've got 500 of them, that's a lot of money.
That's
That
a chunk of change.
yeah. Yeah, we'd have to go to bond over 30 years for that, and it would be a significant tax increase. So I'd love to get some thoughts and feedback on if I should, spend more time on this.
Well, no, I think it makes sense, especially if the DNR, proposes that we'd have to.
It's going to be DPA is going to crack down.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. And
Well, if it's at time of sale,
Yes.
Yep.
if you're living in it.
Yeah. It just becomes a negotiating point on the price of the house, right? Like if it's going to be $4,000 to replace the pipe, and you've got an agreed upon price, maybe they split that cost. It just becomes a negotiating variable. But it does legitimately lower the value of the house by about that amount or half, which is unfortunate. But at the same time, the people who have invested in this, that kind of increases the value of their property because, they have a house that's in compliance.
well, I don't actually see the water going in or the water going out, if there's any difference because of the sewer,
What's that?
the water coming in, any difference in the water going out that could be backing up when we already have rules that say you cannot be putting your sump pump into your sewer line. See what I'm saying?
Kind of.
That's code for no. He has no idea. He has no idea what you just said.
This is a real hazard,
Yeah.
and why anybody would want to have the lead in their house. But then we already have a code that says you can't overflow our sewer line
Right.
with your sump pump water, or
Well, some people just can't afford to replace their lines.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
bottom line, I mean, if you can't afford to replace it, you can't.
Yeah, and this kind of takes that and eases it a little bit, because it's like, if somebody is gonna live in the house for 10 more years, they're not saddled with that cost, but when they go to sell it, like, hopefully they've built up enough equity to be able to afford to be able to have that be a negotiating point.
Most people, when they're buying a house, aren't gonna look at the water line.
No,
They're gonna have no idea.
Right.
At least code, at least they'll know what they're doing.
yeah.
Yeah, and this is something we can do a lot of public education with. We could let all the area realtors know that this ordinance, if we adopt something like this is in place, we could have materials for them to hand out. You know, we'll have it all over our website. Like, we want people to buy here.
Right.
You know, one of our core, issues right now is getting our population back up.
Right.
This certainly doesn't make that any easier. I don't know that it makes it any harder, but at the same time, I don't want to see this $2 or $3 or $4 million project, and,
Right.
the day that we're forced to do it.
You don't want to pull the wool over people's eyes that's coming in here.
Right.
Some realtors say, no, you don't need an inspection. Well, maybe they should have had an inspection.
Yeah.
And things like that could have been caught.
Yeah. So, this is obviously a big one that I'll spend a ton of time on in the next couple of weeks, so I just, again, wanted to get consensus on this before I start investing that time.
Yep.
Great. All right, junk vehicles, I'm going to say, we've kind of already talked about this. There's, a specific thing in the city code about junk vehicles, even sort of in addition to nuisance property. Again, this is just going to be to put a municipal infraction penalty, so we don't have to talk about that too much. Next, and this all ties into the nuisance property stuff, administrative citation authority. Right now, the way that the city code is written, it doesn't give the city a lot of latitude for writing a municipal infraction. I want to write an ordinance that gives the police and city workers the ability to issue a citation. Now, these citations will have a process. They'll have a certain amount of time to rectify whatever the problem is. It'll also have a written and live appeal process. Pardon me. It's more talking than I did all day today.
And I think this is why we've held off on doing more, is because we don't really have
Exactly.
a
Yeah.
process to
Yep.
hold people accountable.
So this gives us, we'll have a ticket book here, myself, Jesse, Eric, Alan, the police, any of us will be able to identify, a violation of the city code, issue a municipal infraction, and then, go from there. And again, this goes back to the nuisance property thing. We're not looking to generate revenue from this, we're looking for people to be in compliance. So there would be a generous period of time to sort of mitigate whatever the issues are, and then there will be a full-blown appeal process. So if somebody feels like they're being unfairly targeted, or that the application of the law is not consistent, they'll be able to come in, we'll have an appeal, 3 people, they can present evidence, so on and so forth. And that is actually, that's a mandatory by Iowa state law. If we want to do this, we need to have a robust appeal process. So that guarantees everybody's due process. So that's kind of that.
Like if an appeal's going on and they say, I can't get this done, or if they have to bring a contractor in, or whatever it
Yeah.
might be,
Yeah,
that you'd be able to agree, yeah,
Yep.
we can extend your time.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done with properties. Like what we tell people is, we'd like it done in 30 days, but if we're seeing progress, we'll be off your tail.
Yeah.
If there's no progress, then we have to take it to the next level. So again, our intent always here is not the revenue, it's the compliance. And so if they're making a good faith effort, we're cheering them on and helping them, but also this gives us the ability to say, all right, you've stopped making progress for 30 days, and what's going on? And if they have stopped, then we can go from there. Okay, so seems to be consensus on that one? Okay. Next is parking. So a couple things. Prairie Avenue, no parking on the west side. We need to update the city code to sort of reflect that. We also need to update the city code on Cherry Street, no parking on the south side. And then I also noticed that we don't really have in our ordinance the signage requirement. So if we're gonna have no parking zones that we're writing tickets on, we need to have ample signage there. So I'll figure out like a best practice for, parking signs or no parking signs. And then the last one on here is, from November through April, we have no parking after 2 a.m. In talks with the police, this is something that's rarely enforced and there's rarely a car there. And we also have a snow ordinance, like the snow emergency. So my suggestion is that we just consider repealing the overnight parking thing, because if it's a law that we're not gonna enforce and doesn't seem to be that big of an issue, why have it on the books? Yeah.
So Brandon, I'd asked you about this all the time, just sooner or after you came. How do we do something with downtown parking like a 24-hour, 72-hour parking? Because people living in the apartments above the businesses, I'd ask Brandon to find a over car, say, hey, can you have them move his car? It's been parked here for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And for the businesses that are downtown, that's a problem because customers don't have places to park.
Yeah, there's so much.
So the way that we mitigated that at home is during business hours, we used to make it like 2-hour parking. So if we want to put up signs and say, you know, in the business districts, this is 2-hour parking from 8 in the morning till 6 in the evening, that makes people who are parked there permanently have to at least move their car for the business hours. Would that be something that
But it also has to be patrolled.
it would have to be patrolled?
And
Yeah.
that takes time away from other things.
It does, and we would probably just being realistic, we would probably do it on a complaint basis. You know, like if a business owner was like, hey, this car's been parked here for a couple of days, you know, then we can issue a ticket or something like that. I don't anticipate that we'll be, you know, chalking tires and stuff like that, but.
Plus, we have a beautician down there, there's an attorney down there.
Yeah.
Lots of times, some of those things,
They take a while.
and insurance,
Yeah.
they take longer.
And
Yeah.
that's fine, it's just like, you know, it was the very first parking spot right in front of the pharmacy for 3 weeks. It's like, hey, this is a problem, we gotta,
Yeah.
you know.
Or we could make it so that maybe a car, instead of putting restrictions on the hours, we could say, you know, it can't be parked in place for more than 24 hours at a time.
Just something, I think that's the problem, is there is no signage differentiating
Yeah.
anything, whether it's 2-hour or 24-hour or whatever.
Yeah.
There
Well,
should be
we've
some
got
type of
parking,
signage,
if
something.
they're upstairs over there, we've got open parking over here
Yeah.
on the city property.
Hey, I'll tell you what, why don't I confer with the police and figure out something to add to this and bring it back and see if we can come up with a non-restrictive way of enforcing it so that, you know, somebody is just parking there for long-term, that we have some way of getting them to move.
I think multiple businesses would.
But I mean, how is that any different than somebody's side street? How is that any different than somebody parking in front of my house and just leaving their car there and
Yeah.
me getting irritated by that?
Yeah.
I mean,
We
Because
could-
you can call the police and say, this car needs to be towed. You can do
well, I know,
that.
can't you do that up here?
You could, but.
Well, that's
they're
what
in
I'm
the
saying,
business.
how is this
Yeah.
any different than like East Elm Street?
Yeah.
Because it's-
You know what I mean?
I think the argument is that it's a business district, and those businesses made a large capital investment in our city, and they need parking for people to go in and out of their business. And so, if, let's say if 100% of the parking spots were full of just cars that, you know, belong to random people and they never move, like, those businesses are gonna suffer. So I think that the argument in the business district is like, at the home, it's annoying too, don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to discount that end of it, and we certainly have an ordinance that, you know, where if somebody just abandons their car, we can get them to move it. But I do think that the business district needs a little bit extra oomph in our enforcement so that, you know, those businesses aren't, you know, because if I pull up and I can't park anywhere, I'm not gonna stop and get a cup of coffee, I'm not gonna get a burger there. If there were other restaurants that I couldn't park, I wouldn't go there either. So, I think if I work with Brandon, we can come up with something that's reasonable. And then if we wanna buttress the city code, the citywide code for cars that are parked in front of people's houses, we can certainly find a way to enforce that a little bit more aggressively. Does that work for everybody?
We could have this start with like reaching out to the business
exactly, I mean, that's part of it, I mean, they're renting.
Yeah.
To the people- I mean, the people above them.
Kind of the problem we always ran into is like, so obviously you have your parking, your limited parking on the street, but then also there's limited parking out back. You know, so like employees obviously go in the building there, parking out back too, and things like that, so it's, you know, and then like we've had problems where like people were working overnight jobs. So I mean, during the day we couldn't get a hold of them because they were inside with earplugs and trying to sleep, you know, with all the traffic going by and everything, so. It'll just be if you guys decide to do something, it'll just be an educational page for a little bit, just to maybe get everybody on the same page, so.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll put something together and bring it back. Okay, light trespass is next. So we've had a couple of instances where, you know, neighbors are shining lights on other neighbors in windows here and there. It's not a huge issue, but I thought that it might be good if we put something in the city code about malicious use of lights to, you know, annoy people. You know, it's getting to a point where a couple of them, you know, where we've said you have to go get a lawyer, this is a civil issue. You know, it's getting out of hand in a couple of instances, and so, but I thought if we add some light trespass language in our city code, then it would give us the ability to use the municipal infraction mechanism to be a little bit more aggressive on people that are maliciously using light to annoy their neighbors.
Sounds great.
Yeah.
I've got a solar light and it only comes on with motion and it's set for 10 minutes.
Yeah. Those little solar lights would be exempt. Is there a consensus on bringing language? Or Michelle, I saw you shaking your head no. What?
That is not me,
I think we're all of that,
like,
mind.
wow,
Yeah.
it's more of a wow than.
Yeah, I was making track. I kind of thought like, you know, yeah. So again, this just gives us, and there's plenty of other municipalities. We had one of these back home. We had a person who came to every single city hall or city meeting for 2 years, just complaining about her neighbor's floodlight, and you know, it was pretty bad. So this will be kind of a simple thing.
I like the street lights right out in front, shining in your bedroom.
Yeah.
My house in Ames was that way.
Shield on that one.
Oh, yeah.
The street light was right in front of our house, so it showed right in.
All right, and then finally, the last page of my proposal here is fine structure. You'll notice some of these are pretty significant amounts, and those amounts are meant to deter. So like right now, a municipal infraction is $500 in our city code. We recommend bumping that up to $750. Now again, that's not somebody gets a $750 ticket and they have to pay it. Like that is at the end of the process of not complying with whatever the municipal infraction is. So, you know, the intent there is to have a significant number at the end if they decide to, you know, give us the proverbial finger.
If they want to blow you off, in other words.
Yeah. Municipal repeat infraction, that gets bumped up, so, you know, if somebody gets a ticket for something and then they become a repeat offender, that goes up. Environmental violations, thought that the current fine was pretty low.
Like, what would that be?
Like somebody dumping chemicals in the sewer, or let's say that's like a restaurant, you know, dumps grease down the drain, stuff like that.
Yeah, just even out on the ground.
Yeah, even out on the ground. Industrial pretreatment. Eric, do you have any? This is in our city code now.
We don't have any industry that we have any.
Yeah. Okay. So that we could look at repeating. Parking. Our parking tickets are $25. Suggesting putting them up between like 40 to 100. You know, I think 40 is probably good for a parking ticket. Like we have the most relaxed parking on planet Earth. So if somebody is actually violating the parking ordinances, it should be significant. Water meter tampering, 100 doesn't seem serious enough to me. And then the unregistered pets, we don't really have a current fine. I'm suggesting 50 to 200. Nuisance yards, it's not really defined right now. The state code allows us to do an initial one and then a daily fine up to $750. I thought if we do a $250 initial, and then at the end of the appeal, at the end of this very long process, if they're non-compliant, then it's $500 a day. Minor administrative citation, 50 to 100. And then animals, failure to license, 100, and then 250 if they don't comply. There's sometimes a dangerous animal, failure to comply with the dangerous animal order from the police. That has to be significant, in my opinion. And then also failure to surrender a dangerous animal. There's some people that their animal is deemed dangerous, hurt somebody. We give an order to, surrender the animal, and if they don't, we need to have a mechanism in place. So those are my proposals on fines. I don't feel super strongly about any of them, but just wanted to put them in what I thought was a reasonable amount.
Just out of curiosity, how would you, so you have the unregistered pet $50 fine, but then you have a failure to license, so what would be the difference? That's what I was wondering.
So, let's see here. Unregistered, it's
Because shouldn't they just get the failure to license?
So an unregistered pet, one of these is, I'd have to look at my notes, one of these is related to if we find it. I think the unregistered pets is if we don't find it.
If it's loose.
If it's loose, that would be I should put loose animal here.
So if you're not a resident and you bring a pet to town, how does that fall into the category?
That doesn't, that's not they don't have to register the pet in our.
So if it's running loose, then we're just.
We just eat that cost of figuring out, where it goes. Yeah, we can't really, it would be unreasonable to get outsiders to register their animals.
Sounds good. Okay.
I guess to me, if currently we're not collecting on any of these, then why raise them? If we're not even collecting to begin with.
Force them.
Well, because right now we're not, if there's no penalty for not registering them.
I'm talking about the ones that we already have fees for. Why raise them if we're not even collecting to begin with?
You mean on like the parking tickets?
Yeah.
And we issue parking tickets.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are, it's not a lot. I mean, it's, we're not a big city, but we do issue parking tickets and, it's just when you think about the amount of time it takes to write the ticket, try to find who owns the car, if it's like a car in front of your house that you want to move, like it just, it takes up time and $25 just seems to be like
minimal.
Yeah, like pretty minimal. So again, I don't feel super strongly about it. If I got a $25 parking ticket, I would just kind of think that was cute and probably just pay it and move on. Yeah. Yeah.
Turn up to Brandon and say, here you go.
You can bring it. That's about what it costs for an hour in Chicago.
Because usually most of the time, these guys are out plowing.
Yeah.
So yeah, we write your ticket, but most of the time we gotta try to find them and locate them to get it moved anyway, so they don't have to come back later.
Right.
And you don't call a tow truck, right?
Right, it's easier just to tackle it right there.
Yeah. I think they're good.
Yeah, consensus on these?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
All right, that's the city ordinance. And then also, like, this is gonna be a few weeks, so if you have comments privately that you wanna make, or you have, a light bulb moment, just text me, call me, email me, whatever. I'm happy to try to incorporate everybody's feedback into these things so that we can have nice, wide consensus, so.
Thanks for getting to this part, because I know it takes a lot of work.
It's a lot of research, yeah. And it was just pre-research. Now, the next 2 weeks, I'll be like really into the code books and looking at other municipalities and figuring out, what's going on.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll get there.
Did you look into like the tree one I was talking about, or is that not a no-go, or?
Oh, the tree,
Cities.
yes, I didn't have time to type it up, but we can talk about it. We're talking about restricting the types of trees that can go on the public way. Eric and the city guys are suggesting that we just do ornamentals and stuff that doesn't grow too tall, doesn't require a lot of trimming on our part. And so if we want to do that, I'll add that to the next batch of ordinance stuff.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that would be
Less
nice.
work for you guys.
It's a ton of work, and then it's just breaking the sidewalk.
Right.
Yeah.
They, large and medium trees don't fit in that area.
Yep.
Yeah.
In their yard or outside, plant whatever you want.
Sure. Yep.
In the cities, when it doesn't work.
Yep. Yeah, that makes sense.
Now, we're not going to force people to take down what's already there.
Right, right.
We won't take down what's there, yeah.
Right.
So when they plant there, do they have to ask to plant there anyway?
Oh, yeah.
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 Oh, yeah.
If it's in cities, then
Right,
they're
right.
technically supposed to get permission to plant anyway.
Yep.
Yeah. So this will just, and then we'll make a list of,
What's that?
Most of the trees. were planted
Came
by
from the tree,
board.
yeah, that's what I thought.
Right.
Yeah.
but people sometimes, as I did back home, planted whatever they wanted in the parkway.
Right.
So we definitely want to be able to, you know,
Yep.
Well, here's
A
something
lot of
about
those trees were
trees.
donated, weren't they?
Huh?
A lot of the trees that were planted between the sidewalk and the curb were granted and
Yeah.
donated. Yeah.
My tree was supposed to be over 10 feet tall, but look at it now.
Yeah, it's a little taller than that, Darby.
Right, 30 foot tall.
I would like to make a suggestion, because some cities have this ordinance that you cannot plant a tree in that boulevard, parking, whatever this town wants to call it, if it's within so many feet of a street light, so that street light is allowed to,
We have some codes on that, I don't know if it's streetlights, but there is codes on where stuff can be planted from stop signs and stuff like that. I don't know
Right.
where else.
I'll check that out. And then maybe we can do like a,
yeah.
if we have a robust thing right now, maybe we can do a printout and put it on Facebook and do like some public education around it.
Yeah.
There's a street here in town where a tree or a large bush is growing over the stop sign.
Mhm.
And that, there shouldn't be bushes planted.
No.
No.
Yeah.
There's a tree.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thanks for bringing that up, Eric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that's it on the ordinance stuff. Again, don't hesitate to reach out if you have ideas or feedback.
Okay. All right. Move to number 9, resolution 2564, approving the purchase of a shop heater for the city shop.
So move 2564 for the purchase of the shop heater.
Second. All right, motion and second.
Eric, you want to give us a
Yeah,
rundown on this?
bring the estimates with me, but basically.
The estimates are in their packet.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, so to fix what we've already got, to me, kind of seems foolish when it's that close to the price of the new one.
Yeah.
It's just replace, this is for bay 3 in our shop, this is our wash bay for winter time, it's got water, it needs to be.
It needs to be heated, yeah.
So the repair is like 1,100 and a new one's 1,900?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yep,
Close enough, right, I would.
yeah.
How old is it?
I'm not exactly sure, but it's been there for a while. And we fixed it like 4 or 5 years ago, and I think it's the exact same part.
Well, it says the model is
Oh,
2007, yeah. Yep.
18 years now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
Probably got my money's worth. Yeah.
I so move that we purchase the new one.
Second.
All right, motion and second to approve the purchase of a new heater for the city shop. Any other questions? No, we'll go to vote. Larry?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Sarah?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Number 10, motion to approve work to relocate MediaCom aerial facilities to underground. Need a motion? So a second?
Second, I'm
All
sorry.
right,
I'm
motion
sorry.
second.
All right, so this you see there's a map over here. MediaCom basically wants to take some wires that are above ground and move them underground. And their attached proposal is in there, and then there's an email that sort of details in writing what the map illustrates.
And this is all their costs, they're just.
All their costs, yep. Yeah, should be nice for us, like fewer
Right,
Overhead
overhead,
lines.
fewer
yeah.
overhead cords running around for
Yep.
people to get
Mhm.
like hit by. This is a good thing.
All right, any questions? Not, we'll go to vote. Sarah?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Number 11, motion to approve annual holiday lighting rebate.
So moved?
Second. Motion and second?
All right, so we do this every year. You'll probably notice the form is pretty much exactly the same as it was last year. The digital form and promotion last year, I don't remember the exact number, but I think we were up like 40 or 50% in participation in the program. So we want to start hitting this earlier and promote the heck out of it and try to get even more people into the holiday spirit and hanging lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it really easy to do. With that.
Should have done it last week and it was first.
All right, any other questions? No, we'll go to vote. Deb?
Yes.
Michelle?
Yes.
Larry?
Yes.
Sarah?
Yes.
All right,
Great.
other business?
You'll also notice in your packet the monthly financials. So we've switched the bank reconciliations. Deb nominated Sarah to do them, so Sarah's doing them from now on. And so we've got the bank accounts reconciled, and this will be the most recent financials. So if you want to review those at home, if you have any questions about these at any time, just text, email, call, carrier pigeon, however. Happy to answer any questions.
How are we getting anywhere with minutes for the fire department meeting? Okay, it'd be nice if we could do like, kind of like the police department does, or we just have like the monthly in the packet.
All I can do is talk to Sarah.
I'm just asking, that's all.
Yeah,
I
no, he's volunteering.
Yeah. So is Tim still doing them?
Yes.
All right, so maybe you can mention it to him, maybe mention it.
From the other night.
Okay, good. And then I'll also mention to him that we're trying to get it on a monthly schedule. Because it would be nice to get everybody up to date. All
So
right.
you still have 2 meetings a month? Oh, you said, are you having one tonight then? A meeting? Or you're just gonna call Tim and ask him for the minutes?
I told him that he needed to get the minutes turned in.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll text him as well after the meeting and let him know we're trying to get up to date.
And you guys have your soup supper at the end of the month, right, the 30th?
And you're gonna it's gonna be in the paper? I didn't happen to see yours.
For some reason, you didn't put it in the paper this week, it was in the paper last week, and you forgot it this week, and I said, well, better be in the paper next week.
Okay.
All right.
Anybody got any suggestions on our Christmas decorations? My thought is we put something on Facebook, if somebody wants them, come get them, just throw them.
Oh,
the old one?
Sure.
Oh,
Somebody
sure.
wants them,
Well, some of them still work.
And they can be big.
Sure.
So we have to, because it's over a couple of $1,000, we have to go through the,
We have to put an ad in.
I have to put a public, not a hearing, but a public notice of intent to get rid of it. So we'll start that, if that's what you guys want, we'll
Yeah.
start that process,
Yeah.
but,
Really see that, just throw
yeah.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted to hold off before we put the thing on Facebook.
And maybe some small towns would.
Yeah, there's some small towns.
Yeah.
Doubt it.
You never know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Dean wants to put them on sports, right?
We got one already in front of the fire department, we might take one, put the back of the fire station.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh.
Oh, that's good. Oh.
Take them all.
Big one, get up.
All right, anything else?
Thank you, everybody. I know going through ordinances and stuff is daunting and no fun, but these are important, so I appreciate the time that you put into it.
Thanks for getting the reports in.
Just a couple things. I've been attending meetings on the last one, the liaison. The library meeting, a month ago, they discussed and wrote up a very elaborate plan regarding disaster if there's a tornado or things like that, how people would respond, their employees, and what they should know, and all the things, and define roles, and where the switches are to turn things off and on, things like that. It was very comprehensive, it seemed to me, and I thought that was good. Then this last week, computer use. It's really a complicated issue in a library where you have children using a computer, parents want to know what's on there, and adults using computers, and how that all is to mesh together and follow the rules of the local and state and national use of computers for them. Also, the museum. We have had 2 workshops, or we're having a second workshop on Saturday. We had one last Saturday, and the purpose of that is to plan for 2028, which is the 175th anniversary, and also they're planning a Strawberry Point room because of the demands, really, from people who visit the strawberry out here. What is there about Strawberry Point? Well, why is it here? Why was it called this? Things like that. And so they're starting to work on that and hope to have it done. So there are things kind of happening that need to be happening, I think, and keeping things up to date in the town here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All right. Thanks, everybody.